All right, ready for another deep dive? Today we're heading straight to Rajasthan.
Oh, Rajasthan.
But not for the palaces or the elephants this time.
Yeah.
Although those are pretty cool too.
Definitely.
This deep dive, it's all about the music of Rajasthan.
Oh, wow.
And trust me, it's way more than just background noise. It's like stepping into a living history book, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It reflects like everything, the daily life, their struggles, celebrations, all of that is woven into the music.
It really is. And we've got this awesome article to guide us. It was published in iTech on August 15th of this year, 2024.
Oh, cool.
By Anchit Jain. He really dives into how music is like, I don't know, built into the very soul of Rajasthan. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. And it really struck me how even something as, I guess, basic as water can become this huge source of musical inspiration in Rajasthan.
Right. The article talks about Panihari songs, and I gotta admit, I'd never heard of them before.
Oh, you should definitely give them a listen. Yeah, Panihari songs are traditionally sung by women when they're fetching water, often walking for miles in the desert heat. Imagine turning that daily chore into this beautiful musical expression.
Wow.
It speaks to their community, their resilience. It's incredible.
It is. It really is. It's incredible how music can transform, like, even something so ordinary into something so powerful.
Absolutely.
I bet the songs themselves, do they sound pretty unique? Do they reflect that landscape?
You can almost hear the vastness of the desert and that sense of, I don't know, longing in the melodies. If you ever want a taste of truly authentic Rajasthani music, search for that original Panihari song online.
Okay. Yeah, I'm writing that down right now. Original Panihari song. Got to check that out.
Yeah, it's really something else.
So we've got these everyday songs, but the article also goes into some pretty fascinating musical traditions, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like Manganiyar music. Even the name just sounds so cool.
Manganiyar music is incredible. It's performed by the Manganiyars, and they're a hereditary community of musicians. And their songs are like musical time capsules, carrying centuries of history, stories, genealogies even.
It's like oral history, but set to music.
Exactly, and the instruments they use are so intriguing. There's the Kamayacha with that sharp, piercing sound.
Yeah.
Then you've got the steady beat of the Dholak.
Uh-huh.
And then, of course, the Sarangi.
Oh, the Sarangi. I've heard of that, but never actually heard it played. What's it like?
Imagine a sound that can make you laugh and cry at the same time.
Whoa.
It has this incredibly soulful, almost human-like quality to its tone. It's used a lot in Rajasthani folk music, and it's truly special. And actually, there's a great link in the article where you can explore Sarangi music specifically.
And perfect. Going right to the top of my playlist.
It's worth a listen for sure.
So we've got everyday songs, historical songs. What about the music for the soul? Rajasthan has a strong spiritual side, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, the article talks about Bhajans and Sufi music. And they're deeply devotional. These are songs meant to connect you to something bigger than yourself, expressing that longing and love for the divine.
So it's not just like listening to a pretty melody. It's about experiencing something much deeper.
Exactly. And it's not limited to temples or religious spaces either. These songs are woven into the fabric of daily life, reflecting that spirituality that just permeates the culture.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Okay, so everyday life, history, spirituality. But what about, like, those epic, heroic tales?
Oh, you know Rajasthan's got to have those.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The article calls them epic ballads, and they're full of bravery, romance, adventure, think kings and queens, battles and conquests, all brought to life through music and storytelling.
And I bet the instruments they use are pretty epic, too.
Oh, definitely. One that stood out to me was the Ravan Hatha. It's a bowed instrument with a deep, resonant sound that just adds drama and grandeur to the music.
It sounds amazing.
It is. It's quite something.
What about that Morchang you mentioned earlier?
Oh, yeah, the Morchang.
The article described it as metallic and twangy.
Yeah, it's this small, handheld instrument made of metal. You put it in your mouth and pluck it with your finger, and it creates this unique, buzzing, twanging sound.
Huh?
Almost like a rhythmic spice added to the music.
Oh, wow. So you've got this tiny instrument adding this whole other layer of texture and rhythm to the music.
It's really unlike anything else you've probably heard.
Yeah, it sounds like something straight out of a movie soundtrack.
It might as well be. It's very cinematic.
The article even recommended a specific song, Jala Below.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one.
To experience those instruments and a woman's voice, the longing in it.
You can feel the emotion in the singer's voice, especially when those instruments kick in. It's like the music itself is telling a story.
This is all so fascinating, and we've only scratched the surface of the instruments.
Right. We've talked about the Sarangi, the Kamayacha, the Dholak, the Morchang.
Yeah.
But there are so many more.
I know.
Each one with its own character, contributing to that incredible tapestry of sound that is Rajasthani music.
And we haven't even mentioned the dance traditions of Rajasthan yet.
That's where things get even more exciting.
Oh, I am ready. Let's dive into those dance forms.
It's like these instruments really come alive when you see them with the dance traditions of Rajasthan.
Okay, now I'm really intrigued. What are some of the dances that really capture the spirit of Rajasthan?
Well, you absolutely can't talk about Rajasthani dance without mentioning the Ghoomar.
The Ghoomar.
Picture this, you're at the Teej festival,
Okay.
celebrating the monsoon season, and you see all these women in these colorful, swirling skirts moving so gracefully in a circle.
Oh, wow, that sounds mesmerizing.
It is mesmerizing, and the music, it's not just background noise, it's like the heartbeat of the dance.
Yeah.
The songs in the Ghoomar, they often talk about daily life, the changing seasons, you know, that connection to the land. It's really this beautiful expression of their identity.
It's like the dance itself is telling a story, reflecting the rhythms of life in Rajasthan.
Exactly.
What other dance forms really stood out to you in the article?
Well, if you're looking for something a bit more, I guess, intense,
Okay.
there's the Kalbeliya,
Kalbeliya.
known for its fast, sinuous movements that almost mimic the motions of a snake.
Wait, is this like snake charmer dancing?
You got
Because
it!
that's what I'm picturing.
The Kalbeliya is often performed by the Kalbeliya community,
Oh, okay.
who are traditionally known for snake charming.
Wow.
And the music often features the punji,
Yeah,
which is, you know, the instrument that snake charmers traditionally use.
that is so cool.
Right?
It's like the music and the dance are so connected.
They're inseparable.
And they draw inspiration from something as, I don't know, unexpected as snake charming.
It just goes to show how deep music and dance run in this culture.
Yeah.
And then, you know, for a taste of Rajasthan's royal past, there's the Maand.
The Maand, okay, so this is like royal court dancing. It sounds very elegant.
It is. The Maand is known for being very sophisticated.
Yeah.
A classical style of both music and dance. Think intricate footwork, elegant costumes.
Ooh, nice.
And the music is rich in both melody and storytelling.
This is making me want to book a trip to Rajasthan right now, just to see all of this firsthand.
You should. Seeing these dances performed live is an unforgettable experience.
Yeah.
But even just listening to the music and learning about the stories behind them,
Right.
it can transport you there, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of stories, I want to dive into those research excerpts we have on the role of folk media in India.
Okay.
Because it seems like in Rajasthan, you know, music and dance aren't just entertainment. They're really connected to the community, to everyday life.
That's a really great observation. And, you know, the research highlights how folk media can actually be a powerful tool for communication and even social change.
And so it's not just about pretty melodies and intricate footwork. It's about, like, using those things as forces for good.
Exactly. And one of the key takeaways from the research is how connected folk art is to its community.
Yeah.
It uses those familiar symbols, the stories, the language that everyone understands.
Making it more accessible.
Exactly. It makes it immediately relatable to everyone.
So it's not just passively listening or watching. It's about actively participating and understanding.
Exactly. And because of this strong connection, folk media can be a really strong force for social good.
That's interesting.
For instance, in rural India, where literacy rates might be lower, you know,
Yep.
folk media can kind of bypass that need for the written word.
Right.
And communicate directly through shared experiences.
That's a great point.
Right.
It's like a form of storytelling that anyone can understand and connect with.
It really is. And, you know, it's not just about preserving tradition. It can address contemporary issues, too.
Well, interesting.
The research actually shows how folk media can raise awareness about things like health, education, environmental protection.
So instead of reading a pamphlet or watching a PSA,
Right.
people are learning about these important things through songs and dances that are already part of their lives.
Exactly. And because it's already so ingrained in the community, it can be incredibly persuasive. Think about it.
Yeah.
If a respected elder is conveying a message through a song or a dance, people are much more likely to listen
Right.
and internalize that message.
It's like tapping into the power of, like, shared cultural values to make a difference.
Exactly. Exactly. And what other examples did the research mention? Well, there were some examples of how folk media has been used to challenge maybe some harmful traditional practices or promote more positive social norms.
So like things like child marriage or gender inequality, those kinds of things.
Yes, exactly. Those sorts of things. The research highlighted how songs and plays were used to spread awareness about the consequences of those practices and promote more, equitable treatment of women and girls. It's powerful stuff.
It really is. It shows you how art can be more than just entertainment.
Right.
It can be a tool for social change, for education, for empowering communities.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that makes folk media so, enduring. It's constantly changing, adapting to the needs of the community, but it always stays true to its roots.
So it's not stuck in the past. It's a living tradition, still relevant today.
Very much so.
It makes me think of those havelis that were mentioned in one of the excerpts.
Oh, yes.
Those traditional mansions you find in the Shekhawati region of Rajasthan, right?
Yeah. And they're not just impressive architecturally.
Right.
They're covered in these really elaborate frescoes that tell stories and transmit cultural values.
So even the buildings in Rajasthan are a form of storytelling.
In a way, yes.
Like you can't escape the art and culture. It's just woven into every aspect of life there.
And that's something the research emphasized, that pervasive nature of folk media. It's not just confined to museums or galleries.
Yeah.
It's part of everyday life.
Which brings us right back to music and dance. It's not just about the performance itself.
Right.
It's about expressing that shared identity, strengthening community bonds, and even, like we were talking about, tackling those social issues.
You got it. And that's why folk media is so important. It reminds us that art and culture can be more than just entertainment. They can be a real force for positive change.
It's amazing how folk media can be so deeply rooted in a community and still be this force for change.
Yeah, that was something that the research really, really highlighted.
Yeah.
Like, imagine a community where written information, it's just not easily accessible or understood,
Right.
Folk media, it can bridge that gap by conveying those important messages through,
Songs, dances,
songs, dances, storytelling, exactly.
So it's not just entertainment. It's almost like giving them knowledge and information.
Empowering people.
Regardless of literacy level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the research gave, some really compelling examples.
Oh, yeah.
Think about, health education campaigns.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of relying on pamphlets or posters, which not everyone can understand or even access, right?
Right.
They use traditional songs and plays to spread awareness about, hygiene or nutrition or disease prevention.
So smart.
Right.
It's like you're taking the information and you're embedding it into something they already know and love.
Exactly. You're putting it into their cultural traditions.
Right. Yeah.
And because it's coming from a trusted source, like an elder or a well-known performer,
right,
it has that authority.
It does.
People are way more likely to listen and remember that message.
Makes sense.
When it's delivered in that familiar way,
Yeah, it's like tapping into social influence but making it organic.
Exactly.
And authentic to the community.
And that's one of the things that makes folk media so effective at tackling these social issues,
Yep.
It's not just about giving them information, it's about changing how they think and how they behave. The research actually highlighted how folk media was even used to combat things like child marriage or the mistreatment of widows, you know? Wow, yeah.
Like tackling those deep-rooted problems through
storytelling.
Storytelling and music,
That's powerful.
And it works because it gets the community involved. A lot of these forms of folk media, they're participatory.
Yeah.
They encourage people to sing along, dance, even act out the stories.
Right. It becomes their own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that sense of ownership.
Yeah.
That's often what leads to real change.
Right.
When they're a part of creating it.
Yeah.
And sharing those messages.
Yeah.
They're more likely to really embrace them and advocate for them.
Totally. It's like a grassroots movement, but fueled by
art.
By art and tradition, yeah.
Yeah, it's really inspiring.
It is.
Like a powerful example of how culture can really make a difference.
I totally agree. And I think it also, challenges us to think about how we support and celebrate folk art in our own communities too.
Yeah.
Because these traditions, they're more than just entertainment. Absolutely.
Their living history, their values, their shared experiences, all wrapped up into one.
It makes you realize how much we can learn from these traditions, not just about other cultures, but about the the power of just human connection and creativity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on that note, I think we've come full circle
Yeah.
in our deep dive into the musical soul of Rajasthan.
We've explored everything from the everyday songs about, the Panihari women fetching water,
Right.
to the epic ballads about kings and queens, and then even how folk media is used to make communities stronger.
It's been an incredible journey.
It really has.
And I really hope it inspires our listeners to look into the musical traditions in their own parts of the world,
I couldn't agree more. To our listeners out there, check out those show notes. There are links to that ITAC article by Anchit Jain, some of the music and dance we talked about, even resources to learn more about the power of folk media. And until next time, keep those ears open, keep those minds curious, and keep exploring the world of sound and stories.